One of the things that we struggle with as men sometimes is really just learning how to be vulnerable. So in this conversation, we talked about the origin of can I be vulnerable? We talked about how important it is for people that offer support to others to be supported themselves, and how important it is for us sometimes to recognize and realize when mentally we need a break, when emotionally we need a break, and how to reset and jump back into it. This conversation I learned so much from, and I think that you're going to learn a lot, especially learning how to work on your mental health and learning how to become emotionally and mentally healthy. Let's jump in to this conversation with my good friend BJ Williams from Can I Be Vulnerable? Welcome back to the Life Recreated podcast. My guest, Mr. BJ Williams, he is the founder of a nonprofit, Can I Be Vulnerable? Now, the mission of Can I Be Vulnerable is to break the stigma of mental health in the Black community, and it's to encourage Black men to embrace their emotions and see that there is strength in vulnerability. Can I Be Vulnerable is committed not only to shedding more light on the mental health journeys and struggles of Black men, but they're also dedicated to encouraging action. And so, BJ, how you doing this evening, man?
Doing all right, my man. Just got that.
There you go.
So feeling all right.
I was supposed to eat dinner, and I was like, nah, let me hold off because I got that itis. Want to keep my.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being on here with me, man. I just want to dive right in, man. Can I be vulnerable? Talk to me about what the origin of this nonprofit was, what your mindset was, what happened, and what caused you to start this.
I was on vacation in Barbados with an ex-girlfriend, drinking rum on the beach, looking at the ocean, and can I be vulnerable? The phrase itself legitimately just popped in my head. So I turned to, she was tanning. I was like, yo, babe, I got it. Can I be vulnerable? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I know what I want to do. Because I've been thinking about doing something in mental health. I just didn't know what. You know, me, a good buddy of mine, Brandon Thomas, and he's the editor of all of the docuseries episodes. And we had been trying to do something with mental health. We were going to write short film. We just didn't know. And so Barbados happened to me. And as soon as we got back from Barbados, B came over and we recorded the first episode, which is myself, in our backyard. It was really just an opportunity to talk about my journey with therapy, what led me into therapy and my journey with it right now. And a lot of things that I had spoken about. My network, my close network knew, but my social media network and the outside of that had no idea the things that I had been through in life. That's how it kicked off, man. It was really just going to be a one-off. It was going to be my episode, and I'm a dad, so my son was there. He was sitting next to me, and my son had never heard me talk about these things in my life. And it was an opportunity for me to speak to my son without necessarily speaking to him. He literally sat right next to me and heard dad talk about all of these issues that he's having, which was an eye opener for him because dad is Superman. So he thinks. And to hear that Superman has a bunch of chinks in his armor or he's been hurt a lot was eye opening for him. But it was going to be a one-off thing. And I didn't want to do what we ended up doing. But the response to the video, it was actually a two-parter, was like overwhelming. The amount of conversations that were happening in the group chats, the amount of messages I got throughout all my socials from any and everybody was overwhelming. And Brandon was like, we got to keep this going. And so that's what we did. We planned it out. We mapped it out to say we want to get as many Black men on camera as we can to talk about their mental and emotional health journeys. And we ended up with almost about 60 guys over the course of a year and a half. I come from the athlete world, so a lot of the guys that at least played collegiate athletics and a large percentage of them played professional athletics. So between the NFL and the NBA, we got a couple of Olympians. Even outside of that, we got a lot of guys in entertainment, a lot of actors, a lot of models, a couple of singers, stuff like that. And this year, some professional Black men, and this year, everyday Black men as well. But it really started off with the athletes because that's the world that I come from. And that's how it started.
Gotcha. And so you said you guys interviewed about 60 guys and talked about all these different things. So how old was your son when all of this started? How old was he?
This was 6-7 years ago. So he was like, how old was he? 14? Or 14, 15?
Okay.
He's
so
20
he's
now.
like, okay. Gotcha. So he's like teenager.
14,
Right?
like that. He was a teenager, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so with him hearing some of the stories and the things that you were talking about in that first episode, how did your relationship change with him as far as maybe how he looked at you or how y'all interacted together? Did anything change there at all?
Yeah, our dialogue changed. Even my parenting changed, right? Not that I was ever super hard as a dad, but I did become softer. I more expressive with my emotions, a lot more I love yous, a lot more kisses for him to show that we can show love as well, to show that does. I'm very stoic. Not that I never, he didn't know that I was proud. I told him those kind of things, but I love you, kid. You know what I mean? Here, give me that, get that your kiss on the head. That kind of thing. You know what I mean? Even just like a touch from your father, that changed for me. And then the dialogue changed in terms of the kind of conversation we were having and how we went about those conversations. And so, he's able to tell me any and everything now. And sometimes it's embarrassing. I'm uncomfortable with it sometimes. I'm like, kid, I don't think I should be hearing this. But I would never tell him that because I never want him to feel like he can't speak to me about anything. It's funny because I just spoke to my dad a couple of weeks ago and I was like, Pop, I got to apologize, man. Because I tell my dad everything. And I'm like, I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable with some of these stories because, your grandson tells me these shit. I'm like, Dad, I don't know if I should be hearing this. Kind of just laugh. Yeah, man. And I was uncomfortable sometimes, but I would never tell you that because I wanted you to know that you can always come and talk to me. So it's that same kind of thing for me and my kid. And it actually, after you heard me speak, he did a video, like as a reaction to dad's. I never released it. He can release it if he wants. But like a week later, after the things calmed down on my video, Brandon sent it to me and I just watched his reaction to the things that I had said. And I fucking cried for 20 minutes, man. It was great. It was amazing to see his reaction. And so I went from Superman to Superman to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about that story. And just even what you're breaking down is that a lot of times, especially as men, especially as fathers, like we wear this mask where it's okay, we have to be a certain way, especially in front of our children, right? Because we don't want them to test us, or we don't want them to be trying to get out of pocket. And so we say, okay, all right, I'm gonna keep the mask on. But what's so interesting and dynamic is that in your situation, when you had that conversation with your son, or when he saw those things, it almost made him respect even more, right? It made him say, wait a second, dad's being vulnerable. We don't always got to be tough, right? And so I think that's what I heard on the story was that vulnerability, man, actually probably helped strengthen you, if anything. That's amazing. That's good. That's good.
So that really did strengthen our relationship. So that's exactly what we took out of that.
So then why, because you just mentioned that you talked to your dad and you said that you talked to him about a lot of things. So why was it before? Was it, okay, let me backtrack. So before you had that interaction with your son and he heard part of what had happened to you, with what you've experienced with your dad and how open you were with your dad, did any of that kind of translate into your relationship with your son before that experience? Or was it, because I know you said you were stoic and.
Yeah, relationship. My father's really quiet. He doesn't speak much. And if you speak to him, he'll speak. But other than that, he's a really quiet and he's a stoic as well. But in terms of vulnerability, you bring it to him, he'll respond in kind, but he wasn't that super open. He's told me he's loved me a couple of times throughout life, obviously. I've seen him cry a couple of times, but it was always in grief. And I think one time out of joy. But what he did instill in me was to not be afraid of the vulnerability aspect of it. Although I never really seen him with his vulnerability talk about his emotional health. He never did. He never stunted mine. He never hit me with don't be a bitch type thing. You know what I mean? Men don't do this. He never stunted my emotional growth. He never displayed it. He also didn't discourage it either. And I think because he didn't discourage it, it allowed, here I am today being able to say, I could talk about these things and even going to therapy. Although therapy was never a thing in our household, he never stunted it. It was never like, that's for white people type of thing. Although he didn't exhibit that behavior, he didn't stunt it from me. So I think that was pretty cool. And I was able to be open with my son and then in turn go back to my dad and have these conversations.
So what do you think is better in that? Because I think what I'm hearing too is that the advantage to a lot of that situation is that he didn't stunt. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't try to make you feel like you couldn't express that. And I think sometimes even when you have a father or you have that male in your life and they may not express it emotionally, at least they balance it and say, okay, we're not going to put you down for expressing these things. You know what I'm saying? Or
exactly. Exactly. Because
That's
you
the
do have
that's
that. You
good.
have dads of, yeah, and we're not doing that in this house. You know what I mean? That's not what men do, that man up or whatever. And they stunt your growth. Because when you do, there are times where, a boy would try to come to his father with something. I ain't trying to hear that. And you discourage that. That was not in my house. So I do appreciate that. I
Yes.
mean, I guess it's like starting from zero as opposed to starting from a negative, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's probably better to start at that baseline at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Starting at something
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure. What does your dad think about what you're doing right now with Can I Be Vulnerable? What is
Oh,
his feedback
oh,
on it?
man, he loves it. He loves it all, man.
Yeah.
He loves it. Yeah, he's super proud, man. He loves it. He loves it all, man. He couldn't be happier. I've talked because he's been a business owner before as well, and was giving me some tidbits on owning a business and how to go about it and whatnot. So he loves it. He absolutely loves that.
That's
Shit.
good.
He's like, when my dad doesn't speak, I find out that he's a bragger at times. So that's
Right.
impressive to hear. Yeah. Oh, your dad talk about you all the time. I'm like, that nigga don't speak. He does.
That's it. You just speak to the right folks. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the wise way to do it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to speak what I need to speak and what I need to say.
Right.
So that's amazing, man. Look, switching gears a little bit, I was reading one of the articles where you were talking about this whole experience that you've gone through, and you were talking about just masculinity. And you put it in a way where you said that for you, masculinity and what you were experiencing, what you were going through, and even with what you're doing now, that masculinity for you identified with self-discovery, right? So being masculine was more, and what I got out of that statement was like being masculine is more about me learning how to discover what's going on inside of me rather than all the other different things that we often see. So with what you've been doing with Can I Be Vulnerable, how much of a challenge has that been with people that you're meeting to bring up that aspect of masculinity and self-discovery?
Try to help them understand that masculinity is self-defined. You know what I mean? What's masculine to me probably won't be masculine to you. So what? And nobody else can tell you what masculinity is. My experience isn't yours. So to say it's been difficult, I can't say that it hasn't really been. It's just like the dialogue itself and having a conversation has been interesting and healthy. But to say that I've gotten pushback or trouble with it or it's been difficult, it hasn't been. Just offering perspective and whatnot and helping people figure out it really doesn't matter if you think I'm masculine because you don't pay these bills, so it don't matter what you
Exactly.
they like not seeing me.
Yeah.
And even from people that you do respect and admire, like you ain't paying these bills either. You know what I'm saying? And if these people really rock with you, they love you because it's you. They rock with you because it's you. Whatever masculine thing you have within you, whatever you define that as, they love you because it's you. And they didn't get rid of their ass. Like it's pretty simple. And so it hasn't been difficult. It's just been eye-opening for everybody involved because I always learn something new as well. But really, to me, it's just about self-discovery and defining what masculinity is for you and letting that be that and being okay with that.
Right. Could you share a little bit of what the definition for yourself of masculinity is?
One thing is responsibility and taking care of the things that I can take care of, control what I can control, listen twice, speak once kind of thing. Take care of my fellow people, take care of my community, this village. I'm really big on the village. And for self, doing things that make me happy. If I want to go in there and watch cartoons and the cartoons going to make me happy today, this masculine ass dude finna go watch some cartoons. That's what you're going to tell me. If I want to eat cereal after work and Cinnamon Toast Crunch makes me happy, then I'm like this masculine ass dude is going to eat some Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Like, you going to game bang on Cinnamon Toast Crunch? You feel me? Who's mad at Cinnamon Toast Crunch? What's wrong with you? It's really just being okay. For me, it's honestly, I think at the end of the day, it's being okay with being who the hell you are. Being comfortable with that.
And I like that. But I feel like too, I guess where I struggle with sometimes with that is just, we live in a world now where there's so much like noise around us. You know what I'm saying? And it's saying, okay, we need to be doing this. We need to be acting this way. And so the challenge that I see in my own life sometimes is how to like block some of that out and just be and learn how to discover who you are. Like in my own personal life, I had been in some different environments. I was in the military. I pastored for a while. I've done all these different things. And I remember that in every single environment, there was people telling me how I was supposed to act, right? And telling me how I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to talk, how I'm supposed to dress. You know what I mean? So I got out of that environment, like go into a place where it's like, now I have to make that choice. was such, you know what I mean? Like it was such a
Yeah.
challenge to figure out, okay, who the hell am I?
Yeah.
You know, saying
Yeah.
who am
Oh,
I?
I've been there too. I get it.
Yeah, for sure. And so with what you've been doing with Can I Be Vulnerable, what has that taught you about? Has it opened up a lot more in your mind about who you are as a man now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that absolutely has about. I question it all the time. And I don't question my manhood, but I question who am I as a man? Am I doing the things that my son can be proud of and brag on kind of thing? Or would my people be proud of me? Do I do right by them kind of thing? And I attribute that to being a man as well. But yeah, it definitely opened my eyes to like, and another thing is too, is like, I'm going to change as a man. The man that I am right now, I'm probably going to be different at this same time next year. Hopefully in a better way. Hopefully I've evolved in some point. So understanding that as well, like the things that I like to do or believe in now, it might switch a little bit based on however this year treats it. And again, hopefully it's positive, hopefully it's healthy, and hopefully I can bring some people along with it.
For sure. For sure. That's good, man. So within our community, like within like the Black community, as far as Black men are concerned, man, what do you think from your experience and all these guys that you've talked to, man, what do you think our big hang up when it comes to like reaching out for help, reaching out for therapy, reaching out for, you know what I mean, that can give us some guidance, man? Because I know I've been in therapy and I know it's hard in the beginning because I was like, yeah, ain't nobody gonna tell me like what I know what's going on in my head, but then I really don't. Talking to all these guys, what have you heard that you're like, yo, okay, this is what our hang up is on a lot of issues?
That's the exposure to it, to mental health in totality. Honestly, it's just the most guys don't even know it's available or that it's accessible. Not even that it's available, that it's accessible. They are accessible. Excuse me. People know what therapy is, but the knowledge of what therapy is, there's the stigma of it's only for white people, the stigma of I'm not crazy, the stigma of I can't afford it, the stigma of it's all about meds, and they're gonna put me in the fear. And rightfully so, because the healthcare system has not treated our people kindly ever. And so you have a real good right to be afraid of what it can do. And then you're talking about something in my mind or something in my emotions, like that you can't see. If I got a broken finger and you don't serve me, then something is wrong with my head and I'm gonna let you diagnose me knowing how y'all treat us. Nah. And so it's definitely, the fear is valid, but honestly, I think it's the exposure of it, ignorance to what therapy and mental health actually is and what it can actually do. And once you get through that part, not being able to afford it is easier because you can get through that. You know what I mean? There's plenty of places that can serve you, even if it's temporary. But I think it's just exposure to it. The more you expose them to it, I think the easier it becomes, or it helps them break down that stigma even more.
Now, with a lot of the guys that you did a lot of those interviews with, how many would you say in that group were going to some kind of therapy or were?
Most of them had already been. Most of them had already been
Oh,
at
really?
some point in life or were actively going. Especially the athlete guys, especially the pro athlete guys. They, first of all, had sports psychologists, but sports psychologists mainly is to help you in the field of play, not for things outside of that. But a lot of guys had been through at some point in growing up, they always get labeled. So they always trying to have to see a doctor anyway at school. So a lot of that was their first exposure and they probably didn't like it too much. But most of the guys had actually already been to therapy, couples therapy, marriage counseling. They had been through it younger. They had been through it in their sport. Because a lot of guys after the game was over have identity issues. I have an identity crisis. Who the hell am I? Hi, my name is BJ and I'm an athlete. I play for blah, blah, blah. Once that shit is over with, hi, my name is BJ. I don't know who the fuck I am. And that identity crisis that sends them to a spiral. It happened to me. It happened to me. Sends them through a spiral, man. And so a lot of the guys I had spoken to hadn't been to therapy.
I know you mentioned that identity crisis, man. Talk to me a little bit about your own experience with that. Like what was going on there? What was happening during that time for you?
Shit, I've been an athlete my whole life. And it's no longer a thing. Like the structure of it all, I knew where I was supposed to be at a certain point in time. I knew every day what was going to happen. And that shit was shit done and over with. So what do I do? You know, thinking about the kind of skill sets you have that translate over. I've used my body for my entire life to get to these positions. And now, you want me to write a resume? What you want me to put? My accomplishments on the field? That shit don't matter. You know what I mean? Like I can run a fast 40. That's not going to help me. You know what I'm saying? That's where I was at, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. If I wanted to continue to do this. And there's also a thing where you're chasing that high, right? These sports gave me something that I don't think I'll ever be able to, not that I don't think, but at the time, my thought process was, I'll never be able to get this kind of high out of something again. I need something that's going to give me that kind of rush, something that excites me to go put my all into something every day. We think that's not going to happen again. But if you got good people around, you got a good program, you get into some help, like you discover other passions that you can put your all into, just in different ways.
The reason I ask you that is something I've been thinking about a lot lately is purpose, like how to find purpose. I felt like for myself, I was in a season where I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know where I'm supposed to be going, what's next. And that, like I mentioned before, I was in the military, tell you what to do every day. And so it can definitely be a challenge, man. It could definitely be a challenge with it.
Yeah.
So would you say that now in your life, a lot of your passion and effort that you're putting into is with what you were doing with this nonprofit?
Seems to be my calling, man. It seems to be my calling, to be honest with you. So yeah, I am very extremely passionate about this. And again, the same type of focus that I was able to put into athletics, I've been able to learn how to use that same type of focus that I had to put it into other entities, and specifically Can I Be Vulnerable. So yeah, it's definitely a passion, a reluctant passion. Let me put it that way. Because again, I didn't want to do none of this thing. Any of these, the things that I'm doing, it wasn't a goal. Like I didn't write all this down and say, I'm going to do this and this. Opportunities came, ideas came, and I was like, what the hell? Let's try it out. But if I'm going to try it out, I'm going to go at it. You know what I mean? You got to throw yourself to it. Because if you don't, what are you doing it for? But I'm a reluctant passion person. I don't know if that's a term, but I just made it up.
Yeah, there you go. We're gonna use that. We're gonna use that one.
Yeah.
Passionate person, right?
Well, what?
You'll do it hard, but you just have a little bit of little reluctance to it.
I mean,
And
I think it's worked out for me too, because again, I didn't want to create a docuseries, but here we are, almost 60 episodes. I think that it did well for the 2 years that we were doing it. And then we developed a curriculum for students, for kids, to help introduce these terms and mental health and whatnot. Just introduce mental health as a subject and things like that. And then it turned into the bus. And reluctant with all of it though. What's next? Let's try something else. Man. We'll see how it works. And then all of a sudden it catches fire for me and go hard to pay to see what we can do with this. And so that's where the reluctance comes in the beginning. And then here we are.
Yeah, there you go. That's good, man. And you never, honestly, bro, sometimes you never know what can happen. I have a good friend of mine. He's hosted a couple episodes with me here on the podcast, but he got into yoga and he started something called the Black Men Heal yoga class. And I have been doing yoga for years, but I just never said it to anybody, because how many Black folks, I just do it at home and I just keep it to myself. I ain't gonna be that. And he started this yoga class and bro, it packed out. It's all Black men, bro, all men. The environment is like crazy. You're just like,
But that's the funny part though, right? Like, you were doing yoga for years and didn't say nothing. And all of a sudden somebody says something and everybody's doing it because everybody else is at the house doing yoga, not saying shit.
Not saying it. Exactly. Yeah.
It's the same thing with Can I Be Vulnerable? Like, we're all going through this. I just happen to be the one to say something all the time about it. Oh, okay, everybody. Now we can all talk about it. It's just funny how it works. Like, you do yoga, I do yoga.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's different for us because in the athlete world, being flexible and all that is, and stable and core stability and all that is key to keep playing and have longevity. So that wasn't too much out of the ordinary for us, but yeah, everybody does yoga, I think. We just don't say nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Especially Black men. Black men, we ain't gonna say nothing. We gonna be like, nah, you even have me.
Look at you upside down at your home. Nah, yeah, I do. I'll be upside down at the house. Now we just a big
for sure. But for him, with him starting this group, man, it wasn't like something that he was like super passionate about or anything. He just threw it out there and he was just like, man, I wonder what would happen. And then it got to the point where even a lot of the classes, man, we'll have people sponsor the classes and guys to come in free. And that's a beautiful thing, man. I love it. I love it. So talk to me about, I see you got a bus. I'm going to throw a picture up on the video portion of this. I see you have a bus that you converted. Talk to me about what you're thinking and your thought process was when that idea popped up.
To be honest with you, the initial seed was planted by a girlfriend of mine. Shout out to Bree. She wanted to do like a tour bus kind of thing with the docuseries and stuff like that, just to introduce it. We were going to do something with the docuseries, make something out of it. I don't know, a couple of workshops. But over the break one year, I got bombarded with, because the holidays is like depression and suicidal ideation kicks up tremendously during the holidays. And this one particular holiday break, man, I was getting messages all the time about, hey, BJ, can you help me find a therapist? So I'm looking for something for my son or my husband or my blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I just got tired of people asking me because it's also hard to recommend a therapist as well because it may not be the one for you. You know what I'm saying? You got to get the one for you. So I try to like send people in a direction, but I'm like, I don't want to recommend anybody. But anyway, I got tired of people asking for recommendations. And I was like, why don't I just bring it to y'all? So that was basically it. I was like taco truck. If I had a restaurant, I probably wouldn't want a brick and mortar, too expensive, but I could bring it to y'all. So let me just taco truck therapy, put some people on a bus, bring it to y'all, let you talk, and we'll get the hell out of there. That's what it is.
Nice. Okay. What does the experience look like, or how has the experience been whenever you go to different areas? Do y'all have strategy, or what do you do with the bus?
Pull up and hop on. It's very simple.
Sit right, just pull up and hop on. Yeah.
Not even obviously we'll tell, hey, listen, we're going to be here. We've done a few events where we legitimately planned out. We got other food vendors come through. We got activities planned up. We got sponsors. We've done that. But hey, we'll be here at this date at this time. Pull up. And sometimes just one person gets on. That's enough. And sometimes it's jam packed. Sometimes people just want to take pictures. Sometimes, but all the interaction is good interaction for me. But it's just simple. We're going to be here and we're there. And then you come up and you talk. And if you want to continue on, we give you resources. You obviously to keep it going because you're not going to get a lot of work done in this short amount of time that you're able to talk to these mental health professionals. Really, it's just a way to introduce mental health and further break stigmas.
Gotcha. So it's not really, is it more like where they're going through like a session, or is it just more where they're sitting down with that mental health professional and they're just getting educated on therapy, different tools and stuff?
Man, it was supposed to be that, like, just you can ask a mental health professional certain questions. So when you're ready to get your own therapist, you've interacted with one. But what actually has been happening is they've been getting on and getting therapy. They've been going to work. I was shocked. I didn't think that would happen. They get on and get to talking about any and everything. I've had to like kick people off. Hey, listen, we got people waiting because they are in there actually getting work. I did not expect that at all. And majority of the time, that's what happens. So they let me know people want to speak. They want to get help. You just got to bring it to them. You got to give it to them. But initially, yeah, it was just about the education, just to break the stigma. But yeah, they blew it out the water. I'm trying to hear all this right now.
Yeah, you give me a free session, boy. I'm taking all of it, bro.
Yeah,
trying to take all of it. Right now.
Man, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, man. I ain't gonna front. It was great. It blew my mind because I didn't think that would happen. But they was getting on and going to work.
Man, I love it. I'm so inspired, but I'm thinking like in my head, I need to, because I don't think we have anything like that on the East Coast. We're in Virginia, and I haven't seen anything around like that. So I'm definitely, so with the mental health professional,
there's crisis vehicles. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
My fault. What's a crisis vehicle?
No. So if you're in crisis and you don't call 911, you call the crisis line and they show up. But it's different. It's just like a van. They just call it a crisis vehicle. It's more like a van. A couple of people show up for you while you're in crisis and do their thing. What we do is preventative. We're not crisis mode. Don't call us if you're in crisis, call the correct number. We look at ourselves as preventative. We want to get to you before you have a crisis. We want to get you educated. We want to get you talking. We want to get you with the therapy before something extreme happens. That's our goal. That's what we want to do. But crisis, if you're in a crisis, like an emergency, call them out. Yeah.
Now, can I ask you an honest question on this, man? I know obviously you're putting this bus out there, you're getting people the help that they need, and you're giving them those opportunities. For yourself, what was it like for you mentally and emotionally during some of this? You know what I mean? Because what I've learned, and the reason I asked you this question is because I know when I was pastoring this, you're trying to help everybody out there, but then sometimes I wasn't taking care of myself. You know what I mean? So I can't give you if I'm not throwing up the.
I'm selling the bus. I'm very happy and proud of the work that we've done, but it took so much out of me. Don't have it. That's part of the reason why I had to take a leave. That's part of the reason why I was in this dark space. A lot of suicidal ideation or homicidal ideation, to be honest with you. This journey with this bus, man, has been super stressful. Again, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'd probably do it again in a heartbeat for the work that we were able to do. But man, I looked up and it was super dark all around me. And I'm selling it. I'm going to do it again. I want to do it again, maybe in 24, but I need this year for me. I need to get me right. I need a reset. I need to step away from the work so I can get myself good. I've learned a lot through this process of being a business owner, and especially with this bus. So all the mistakes that I've made won't be made the next time around, right? You bump your head a lot being an entrepreneur. And I paid 92% out of my pocket. This has cost me a lot of money that, again, not complaining, I would do it again. But I'd rather spend somebody else's money now. I mean, I would rather spend somebody else's bread, man. I don't want to spend my, I could have bought a house in LA for the money that I spent on this whole thing, legitimately. I don't regret it again, but it was hard. It took a lot out of me, a ton out of it. Absolutely. But I wouldn't trade that for the world, though. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just because we were able to do what we were able to do. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again next year. I'm not, the work isn't stopping, but I got to take it.
Yeah. And I think it's wise to recognize that, because that's the thing. Yes, we're talking about everything that this organization and what you're doing with it can do and provide. But a lot of times we miss the people that are running it, right? You have a mind, you got emotions, you got a lot of stuff that you got to deal with a lot too. And supporters need support. Like, we don't understand that sometimes, right? The people that are supporting us, they need support. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's hard for them to really get there. Sometimes it's definitely hard.
That's what I say about the educators. Like, everything we do is for the kids, but you can't help the kids and be as efficient for the kids if we are, as educators, the staff aren't good. I say that about educators all the time. Therapists need therapy. You know what I mean? Pastors need preaching. They need the word too. So yeah, can't take care of others unless you're good. And I'm really big on that. Huge on that.
Yeah. I think that this year, if you're going to take this year off, man, it could be a really good year to just reset. And I know you as a sports player, you got to have seasons where it's okay, I'm about to just reset my body and let myself get back flowing back. You know what I mean? So you can come back stronger. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So let me ask this, and you can answer this if you want, or if you don't want to. With you transitioning with the bus, have you thought about what your next moves with the organization would be, or is it just you're just gonna not pause, but just not be pushing the bus aspect?
They're just not pushing the bus. I'm still doing the other work that we were doing. We're going to get back to recording a couple of guys just to get out there and speak again, get back to the community, or letting black men tell their stories. We're going to do that. Same thing, a couple of workshops. I've done some speaking engagements, building a relationship with this new Muslim community out in Dallas. And so we've done one workshop in the Zoom. So we're going to continue that as well. I'm still going to do some mental health work. It just won't be pushing the bus. I won't be pushing Can I Be Vulnerable a lot, but somebody like yourself wants to speak about it and talk mental health, I'm always with it. So I'm not getting all the way away from it, but the bus won't be getting pushed as much until like next year.
Yeah, I feel you. I got you. That's good. That's good, man. Yeah. And so just keep definitely pushing it, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
Out of all the 60 guys, the amount of guys that you talk to, can you share with me, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned from listening to some of those conversations?
Lessons? I don't know about lessons, but just things that these men have gone through. Shit, man, the things that we have gone through, gee, man, like, how can you do human beings like that? How can you do kids like that? Like, geez, man, we've got some heavy hidden stories on there. And I'm actually shocked that they spoke about some of these things. Yeah, you got your typical daddy issues, daddy was gone, substance abuse type things, the things that we normally hear all the time. But I got stories about sexual assault as an adult and being raped as an adult. We got stories of suicide attempts, the loss of a child, stuff like that, a divorce, sex addiction. We got some stuff, man. I don't know about the lessons, but hearing some of the things that these guys have gone through, I'm like, shit, fucking kidding. Like, how could people treat you this way, kind of thing? And you've been holding on to it for decades, you know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing that I took away from it, man. And it was heavy hitting, hearing a lot of these things. Because it's me interviewing. We're just having a conversation like you and I. And they're just legitimately just telling me, I'm like, man, that was the biggest takeaway from me.
It's really eye-opening, man. You know, one of the things I live by, and one of the things that I try and live by, is I never look at someone, or I try not to look at somebody until I hear what their story is. What have you gone through? What'd you experience? Because we don't understand why people act the way that they do until we understand what they've gone through and understand what that process was like for them. So yeah, that's definitely encouraging, man. As a black man, and I say to myself, hey, I need to figure out how to be more vulnerable, figure out how to find some of that healing. Where would you suggest with the experience that you've had recently and things that you've seen recently with this organization, where would you suggest, if I'm a Black man, I'm saying, hey, I want to take those next steps, man, and really just try to find some healing. What do you suggest some of those steps be for me? I know every situation is different, but what's the main one?
Start with yourself, man. And 'cause you got to recognize it for one, but start with yourself. Look in the mirror and just talk to yourself real quick. Or record yourself on camera. You don't have to share nobody, but look at it. Look at yourself talk. Say these things to yourself. I've done this before. Hey, I'll look in the mirror like, BJ, you're not okay. And I don't know how or why, but it helps. Like it works. Just to look at myself and admit to myself that you're not good. And I think that's a huge first step. Recognizing it and being able to say that to yourself is where I would start, was where I started. And I always suggest that being able to admit it to yourself in your mirror. And then from there, find the person that you're most comfortable speaking with and then talk to them. Just like you had when we first got on, you asked me how's it going. I'm like, do you want the truth? Because I can give you like, I've been hey, it's been cool. I can give you that answer.
Yeah.
Or I can give you the truth. And then we had a dialogue about it. That helps. That's helped. That quick little exchange was great for me, being able to tell somebody else. So find somebody you're extremely comfortable speaking with and then open up to them. And just let that conversation flow as it goes. And then you can start seeking out some mental health help, professional help, if that's what you want to do. But I would start with myself. I would look myself in the mirror and admit to myself that I'm not okay. And if it takes you a few times, let it take you a few times. Be patient with yourself, give yourself grace. But I would start with those two things, talking to myself, admitting to myself, and then finding somebody that I'm comfortable speaking with, and then opening up to them, and then I can expand on that.
Yeah, that's good, man. You know what I love about a lot of your answers is how simple the approach is, right? I think a lot of times when we find ourselves in these seasons, it can feel like it's so complicated for us to find a way out or find some kind of relief or but your approach to it is just simple, man. And that's what I think a lot of men, as men, we have to understand is that our healing, unpacking all of it and going through it, yes, it can be complicated, but the steps to get that process started are really simple. You know what I'm saying? And they're really, really simple. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's good.
No, I tell people all the time, like, therapy is hard. Like, it's super hard. It's not easy. Go in there and face all of these things that have done you harm. But it's simple. You're just talking to somebody, allowing them to help guide you through all of these things. There's nothing difficult about it. You just got to do it.
Right. Yeah, just got to do it, man. I love it. Okay, I love it, man. Look, I think this has been a really great conversation, man. I've learned a tremendous amount, man. I was taking some notes and just getting that perspective and that understanding. So I want you to think back with me, maybe I would want to say about 25, right? I think that's a good age. And you're talking to your 25-year-old self. I know obviously life has played out the way that it has played out and things have been good and they've been up, they've been down. But you go back to 25 and you have the option to really recreate the experiences that you're having moving forward. And that could be fixing a mistake or whatever it could be. What's the biggest thing that you would tell your 25-year-old self now experiencing what you have in life up until this point?
Take more leaps. Just take more leaps. If you mess up, fuck it. You always go back home and restart. Take more leaps. And that's one. And then the second one will probably be more detail oriented. I researched, but at 25, I'm invincible. You can't tell me shit. I'll figure it out. Had I paid more attention to the details, some things might have changed just ever so slightly, but in my favor. So take more leaps and pay more attention to detail.
I like it. I like it. I love it, man. I used to have a pastor who used to get on me all the time about details. He'd be like, Nick, you got to pay attention to the details. Pay attention, because I'm always moving fast, right? And he's like, nah, the details. I was saying the details would have had me a little further in a few aspects of life. For sure. No, I agree with you. I'm in the same boat, brother. Definitely in the same boat. So BJ, man, I really, like I said at the beginning of this when we got on, man, I really appreciate your time. Really appreciate the value that you're bringing to the community and your community and what you're pursuing, man. And a lot of this, I asked you that question earlier. I was like saying, how were you doing mentally and emotionally and all those things? And a lot of times when we're grinding it out, sometimes it's hard for us to see the good that we're making in the world, where it's hard for us to see it, man. So I just want to let you know, just from this conversation, just from what I've been researching and looking at and things that I've been diving to, man, you're making a needed impact in this world, bro. And especially in our country, bro, especially in our country. Like, I really mean that for real.
It means a lot. Honestly, it does. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Because we need that encouragement, man. The supporters need to be supported. So here we are, right? We're gonna
Absolutely.
man. So that's good. So look, as we're signing off, man, where can people find out about what you're doing? What Can I Be Vulnerable is doing? Let us know. Where can we find you at, man?
The website is www.cibv.net, and you can find the socials from there. Again, I'm a little more low profile this year, so if you don't see anything for a while, I'm sorry. It's not that we're not working on it. It's just we're not advertising everything that we're doing. But check out the old episodes from the docuseries there, some old interviews. Again, 2024 is when I'll be back, pedal to the metal, wheels to the asphalt. That's pretty much it. We got Twitter, we got no, we don't have Facebook. But Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter is where you can find us. And again, you can get that from the website. But if you're out here in LA, if you guys are LA listeners, you'll catch us around from time. We'll get to Virginia eventually, actually.
For sure. And I'm going to get out to LA. I get out to LA. That's what I
Yeah, come on through. Please, hey, when you touch down, man. Yeah, please, when you touch down, please hit me up, man. We can connect. We can sit down and chop it up again. Whatever you want to do, man. Just let me know.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'll make sure I put a link down below of all these different things, man. But once again, man, BJ, I appreciate you. Can I Be Vulnerable? Definitely go check it out. Check out what the conversation is talking about. See how you can help. See how we can get involved in this. I feel like in the time we're living in, Black men, everybody needs this. We need that healing. We need to have these conversations, and I'm grateful for it. So this has been Nick, Life Recreated Podcast. Until next time, as always, keep learning, keep healing, and keep growing. Peace.